Good morning, Coastal. I am so excited to share a Devo that I read in my devotionals a couple of days ago in 1 Kings 20. There's this battle that takes place between the king of Aram and the king of Israel. And the king of Israel actually prevails in the first battle. And the king of Aram, his name is Ben-Hadad, and he says this about Israel in verse 23. He said, "Their gods are the gods of the hills. That is why they were too strong for us. But if we fight them on the plains or the valleys, surely we will be stronger than them." And this part of the story in this war, this battle that was happening between these two kings really stood out to me because I think for so long in my life, I believed in this either or God. He was either the God of the hills or he was the God of the valleys. What do I mean by that? When I believed that God was just the God of the hills, you would only know that I was a Christian when life was #blessed. So when things were going great, I would claim that I was a Christian. I almost had a false security in the favor of God. And so when bad things would come, when trials would come, when hard times would come, I would be the first one to jump ship and start blaming God for everything that was happening. I believed that he was the God of the hills, and so I said, God, if I'm your child, shouldn't I be able to just stay in the hills with you? Shouldn't life be easy and good? And can't we just remain in these great things? And so when hard times would come, I'd be like, well, maybe God isn't really there. Or in other times in my life, I would believe that God was only the God of the valleys. And I would claim that I was a Christian, but I would do whatever I wanted. But then a moment that a trial came, you would find me at the altar every single time that there was a chance. I'm pretty sure that I've prayed the salvation prayer at least 45 times. Anybody else feel me on that one? But I would be asking God to rescue me. I would say, God, will you get me out of this situation? I don't know what's happening. I need you now. But when I didn't need him before, you wouldn't even know. I was like, God, I need you. Would you rescue me? And then God would rescue me. And in those moments, I would promise things that I could not keep. So I'd say, God, if you would rescue me, I'll never cuss again. And then God would come to my rescue and he would get me out of whatever trial was happening. And then I'd stub my toe. And how many of you guys know that I broke my promise? And so I lived going back and forth between this only believing in the God of the hills or the God of the valleys. It was these different walks of life that I had. And this army of Aram was saying the same thing. They're saying the only reason that they won is because their God is a God of the hills. So if we attack them in the valley, if we watch them in the valley, and get with me, church, for 1 second, because this is what people are doing that are watching us that call ourselves Christians. They are saying, I want to see what it looks like to be a Christian in the valley. When chaos is ensuing all around, when things are happening that we don't understand, what does it mean to be a Christian in the valley? Is God the same God? And TJ had mentioned this before, that when we go through hard times, that whatever is inside of us gets squeezed out. And what I love about this story is that in 1 Kings 20, verse 28, the man of God came up and told the king of Israel, he said, "This is what the Lord says. Because the Arameans think that the Lord is a God of the hills and not a God of the valleys, I will deliver this vast army into your hands, and you will know that I am the Lord." And so what I really, really want us to do today is just hone in on the fact that our God is not an either or God, but he's a both and kind of God. He is the God of the hills and a God of the valleys. He is a God of the good times and the bad times. He is the same yesterday, today, and forever. He does not change. And so I don't know where you find yourself today. Maybe you have been preparing for this. You've been saving up and you're kind of sitting okay right now. Maybe you still have a job and you are just reveling in the fact of the God of the hills. Or maybe you find yourself maybe in a valley. You don't know where your income's gonna come from. I know that people are losing their jobs right now. And so I don't know where you find yourself out in this current situation. But what I hope that you would do this morning is, there's this song called Hills and Valleys by Torrin Wills. And I pray that you would just take a couple minutes, listen to this song, and just thank God for his faithfulness in the good times and the bad times. Thank God that he is our provider and that he is our rescuer and that he is the same God in the hills and in the valleys. Thank you this morning, and I hope you guys have a great day.